Workplace Futures 2013 took place on the 12th of February at the Crystal Siemens building in London's Docklands. The theme for the conference was Strategic Partnership, Securing the Future for FM. We spoke to some of the speakers and delegates attending the event about some of the key issues raised during the day. This film looks at partnerships and client relationships in facilities management, the place of outcome-based contracts in the industry, and balancing risks and rewards.
Everybody can learn from science in terms of managing their business relationships. Very, very few organisations understand what it means to manage a business relationship. And the FM world, you probably find the closest relationships in any sector, mainly because the facilities management organisations are under the same roof as their customers and integrated almost with their businesses. So managing relationships is a very kind of key competency that people need to get a handle on.
Okay, so mutual respect, I think, would be the key or the centre of a successful partnership. I think facilities management organisations and service providers have an awful lot to bring to the table in terms of their broad international experience of workplaces and what works and what doesn't. I think we need to have a seat at the client table as early as possible in the procurement process to bring those learnings and try and influence the outputs that the client requires at that early stage. I think the real danger is that sort of parent-child relationship between client and service provider that's not founded on trust and mutual respect. I think commoditises the industry a little and doesn't get the maximum value out of it.
I think a relationship is great, but you need something more binding you two together, and I don't always see that with some not manufacturers but suppliers, service suppliers, because I think they just do lip service sometimes.
Lots of consultants will talk about the soft and fluffy things like building up trust and tree hugging and all that sort of stuff. My belief is that business relationships are essentially formal relationships, and management depends very much on being able to measure and make clear the complexity that's around you so that you can make the right decisions. And that is what organisations need to learn to do when they're working with each other. They do it when they're managing internally, but understanding how to do it with erstwhile competitors, erstwhile almost enemies, is a completely new concept for most companies.
Hardly any of the people in the room are using outcome-based contracts today, but not to get too worried about it, because they don't have to just jump to outcomes. They can use inputs, outputs and outcomes to structure something that's part of their relationship with their service provider.
Outcome-based contracts aren't that new. They've been around for a good 20, 30 years. We heard people talking about them earlier this morning. So I think, is FM set up and ready for change? Yes, every meeting I go to, every time I talk to people, I think people are quite, they're not complacent at all. I think they're quite worried about the future and what the future role for FM should be, and I think people are ready and willing to change, definitely, I'd say.
Yeah, outcome contracts are complicated. I mean, we've done deals in the welfare to work space, which is one of the examples quoted. The difficulty there is sharing the risk and reward. So if you're only ever paid on an outcome, there's a certain amount of time you've got to get to that outcome to start with. Who funds that? I think the problem in the public sector has been, what is the outcome? And they've set outcomes on the contract and then realised that actually that wasn't the right answer. So lots of problems, but I suspect they will be used in part, but they won't dominate.
Well, I have an experience of an outcome-based contract that really had a load of KPIs and financial penalties on it, and it did seem to work. But I find a lot of companies don't want to get into that. They don't want to sign up to financial penalties and really strict KPIs. So then you're just stuck with them giving their best they can with whatever service they can provide, And if you don't know them and you haven't tried them before, then it can be some months down the line before you find out how good they are and how tangible their service delivery is.
I think the battleground for the industry in terms of the service providers needs to be around customer intimacy. I think truly understanding our clients, their needs, requirements and the outputs they require absolutely fundamental to a successful FM contract. And so actually coming up with a set of desired outcomes together that we're all working towards is critically important. We're a long way towards that with a number of clients, but to say that we've truly got to the point where we're absolutely working towards outcomes where we as an organisation decide on the hows is probably a stretch too far at the moment, but certainly we're moving in that direction.